Hello everyone, happy Monday. Today we're going to be going through some new fragrance releases and discussing whether or not we want to purchase them and why. This is a weekly series I do here on this channel every single Monday where we sit back and we just discuss what's new on the market. If this is your first time watching this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances and I talk about them here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, along with a ton of bonus content in between. We did miss doing this video last week and the reason was I was out of town and I was out of town for quite a bit and I pre-filmed a lot of videos, but I'm back and I'm ready to get into these. So there's a lot to cover, so let's just get started. First up is a new release by Janeiro. This is Cheirosa 68. This is going to be a new body mist, part of the permanent collection, and it features notes of guava nectar at the top, a heart of orchid, and then base notes of vanilla and musk. They had a limited edition fragrance called Bikini Season, so it looks like this is supposed to basically be that fragrance but repackaged, I believe. So this is going to be a very sparkling summer inspired scent. It's supposed to resemble like a sparkling fruity cocktail. So here it is. It comes in the pink bottle. I really like Sol de Janeiro because of how accessible they are, so it's pretty easy to just go into stores and smell these fragrances. So I will definitely be trying them out, or trying this perfume out myself. I have a few fragrances by Sol de Janeiro that I really love. Cheirosa 71 is my favorite. I also really like Cheirosa 40. So yeah, let me know what you think of this release. I personally think that it's a really good one and I'm interested to see how this will smell. Next up, we have a new flanker by Armani. This is Si Passione Intense, and this fragrance will feature notes of black currant at the top, a heart of jasmine, absolute, and rose, and then a base of vanilla and cedarwood. Now, to be quite honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of the Si fragrances. There's just something about them that I'm never really drawn to. I'm curious about smelling this one, of course, but I can't necessarily say that I will be going for this. Black currant is a fragrance note that kind of ends up popping up every now and then. I know a lot of people really like black currant, and I think that this would be like a good fragrance to wear to transition from summer to fall, which is happening sooner than we might think. But this is essentially like a fruity floral fragrance. Am I super interested in it? I can't really say I am. But will I be smelling this? Yes. I do love the bottle design on this one. I think it's very dark and kind of like seductive. So I'm wondering how much the fragrance will reflect that. But this, in terms of bottle, I really like. In terms of fragrance itself, I don't know if I'll purchase it. But let me know what you think. Do you really like the Si fragrances, or do you just like have no opinion on them whatsoever? Next up, I have a new release by Ormonde Jayne. This is going to be a unisex fragrance. It's part of their permanent line, and this perfume will feature notes of bergamot, cardamom, coriander seed, pink pepper, and saffron at the top, a heart of jasmine, iris, rose, blue poppy, and Himalayan fir, and then a base of deodar, sandalwood, musk, incense, vanilla, myrrh, benzoin, cashmere, and patchouli. So I wasn't super familiar with Ormonde Jayne until I actually went to an event with the founder, and then I was able to just really get a sense about the fragrances, try a few out, and what I can gather from that experience is Ormonde Jayne tends to have like very elegant perfumes. So you have a lot of heavy hitting notes here, but I think it's going to be a very smooth and very luxe smelling perfume. I'm definitely interested in smelling this scent, but Ormonde Jayne fragrances are not necessarily going to be like very loud stand out scents in that particular way. Like they're not going to be like beast mode, but they're going to be very elegant and smooth. So that, because of that, I'm very interested in trying this one out, especially since it looks like a good unisex perfume. This fragrance is inspired by the Valley of Kashmir. This is a location that's 4,000 meters above sea level, and it very much is filled with these deodar trees and wild rare blue poppies and Kashmiri saffron. So again, I'm very curious about how this will smell. I'm wondering, do blue poppies have a scent? What's nice about Ormonde Jayne as well is that they always use very beautiful naturals in their fragrances. Because they make fragrances in smaller batches, they're able to have access to some really rare ingredients. So this is, again, definitely one I want to try out. It'll be launching September 8th. Okay, next up we have a new release by Penhaligon's, another British brand. This is called the Dandy. Now, it has a very retro looking bottle. This is a fragrance that will be a unisex release, and it features notes of whiskey at the top, hearts of raspberry and zesty bergamot, and then a base of ambroxan, oak, cedarwood, and smoke. So there are a few things about this fragrance that instantly really pique my interest. The first would be that whiskey scent. I really love boozy fragrances, but what I find unique about this, or what seems unique about this release, is the fact that they are incorporating a bit of raspberry into a very boozy fragrance. So I feel like that would add, like, that's what will probably make this fragrance unisex. It's not going to be like your traditional boozy masculine fragrance. It is marketed towards a unisex audience, so I'm definitely curious to see how this will smell. Penhaligon's don't really go for like the beast mode fragrances. They typically go for like lighter blends. So again, this will be a boozy fragrance, but I feel like it'll be very versatile. So like if it was a lot of other brands, if I saw the whiskey note, I'd be like, okay, this is gonna be super intense and super boozy, but this is Penhaligon's, so I'm curious about how they will execute this fragrance. I'm imagining that it's going to be a little bit boozy, but I think that they'll be leaning into that raspberry note, which is something I'm excited about. I think the bottle is also really lots of fun as well. The Penhaligon's bottles usually look beautiful, but this is one, again, I'm interested in trying out. We have a new release by YSL. This is going to be a new Libre flanker. This is flowers and flames, and this perfume will have notes of lily at the top, and then a heart of palm tree flower, and then a base of vanilla. I do think that this release is interesting because it does not feature any notes of orange blossom or lavender, and Libre is known, or the Libre fragrance profile is known for having those notes. That's pretty much like universally accepted, that Libre does have that orange blossom and lavender, but this does not feature those notes. So I'm curious to see how this will smell. Flankers generally tend to be pretty beneficial for the brand because a lot of times when you have a fragrance that's pretty well known and you release a flanker, it kind of helps promote the fragrance because everyone's already familiar with that scent profile in general. But since this is such a departure, I'm wondering how similar will it be to the original Libre fragrance profile. So I'm curious about this one. I can't say I don't know, I can't say I'm interested in purchasing this one. I am interested in trying it out. Of course, it's a designer. But something that I've found with the Libre fragrances is, to me, they're a little bit too heavy. I talked about this in my last Buy This Not That video that I did last week. I mentioned the Libre fragrance, the fragrance profile and how it was kind of heavy, and I really like it on other people. I mean, earlier today I walked by someone on the street and they were wearing Libre, and I could tell that they were wearing Libre and it smelled amazing on them. But on me, it's just a little bit too heavy. So again, I'm curious to see how this will go. Are they going to really just go for like that heavy floral scent profile, or are they going to go for something lighter? I'm curious about trying this one out. But if they're going to go for that heavier scent profile, I'll probably not be purchasing this, but again, I'm curious. We have a new release by Chanel. This is Gabrielle L'Eau. So this is going to be a flanker of their Gabrielle fragrance, and this will feature notes of... Okay. This fragrance will feature notes of jasmine, ylang-ylang, and orange blossom at the top, a heart of berries, and then a base of tuberose. I'm very curious about this fruity floral fragrance, specifically because they have the berries note incorporated into the perfume. So this is veering a little bit away from your traditional white floral fragrance, and it's introducing some gourmand elements, and it's supposed to be a little bit of a lighter fragrance. I think this the marketing brief on this one was a little bit interesting because they're trying to like promote Gabrielle Chanel, like the person, as like a bit of a free spirit, and they're like, yes, so this perfume represents that. But I think it just goes to show that, like, yes, it's like marketing, it's kind of a bit of marketing fluff. To me, the marketing doesn't really seem very genuine if they're trying to encapsulate Gabrielle Chanel's personality into a perfume like this. Because I'm like, would she even have worn a fragrance like this? Would she even have worn a fragrance with red berries? I don't know. I have no idea. But I just wanted to I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was interesting. But I personally think that the Chanel fragrances are a little bit underrated. When I was working in fragrance retail, we'd get a lot of people kind of write a lot of Chanel fragrances off as being too mature or too dated, when that is not the case in my opinion. I think that Chanel fragrances, they have some really beautiful ones that are absolutely amazing. I also really do love the original Gabrielle fragrance. I haven't smelled it in a while, but when I was smelling it, it kind of gave me the idea that this was like a very elegant perfume, but it's not boring. So I really do think that this is a fragrance I want to sample, but I just think that the marketing is funny because they're trying to like, I don't know, they're trying to pull Gabrielle Chanel into it, and I'm like, yes, the fragrance is called Gabrielle Chanel, but the way they're doing it is just a little bit odd to me. So yeah, but the bottle I absolutely love. I think it's beautiful. I actually, is this my favorite bottle that Chanel has? I don't know. I think it's really quite beautiful. So again, I'm curious to see how they will work with the berry note here, especially since it's supposed to be a lighter version of the original Gabrielle Chanel perfume. So this is a smash in my book. I am definitely interested in trying this one out. Next, we have a new release by Guerlain. This is Patchouli Paris, and this is a fragrance that will feature notes of aldehydes at the top, a heart of iris and patchouli, and then a base of amber, vanilla, ambergris accord, and musk. This is a perfume that right off the bat I can say the bottle of actually all the fragrances from Guerlain in this like bottle, it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. Yes, these fragrances are some of their most expensive fragrances, if not their most expensive fragrances. So I don't think I'll be getting this one, but I'm very much looking forward to trying it out. I kind of think that, let me look at the fragrance notes again, because patchouli can go two ways, right? You can either go for like a fruity patchouli, or it can be very earthy. For me personally, I've gone from really disliking patchouli to kind of having a little bit of an appreciation for it. Patchouli does help fragrances last a really long time, so I feel like this will be a very like an intense fragrance. This fragrance is inspired by Parisian nights, and it's supposed to be a fresher fragrance, which is interesting. I do love aldehydes in perfume. Aldehydes can make a fragrance smell so beautiful in terms of the sillage. And they have some creamy vanilla at the base. So I feel like this will be an interesting fragrance. I especially really love the bottle. I always am a sucker for these Guerlain bottles, and this one is no exception. Next up, we have a new release by Tom Ford. This is Eau de Ombre Leather. This is a unisex perfume spotlighting the leather note with top notes of spices and white suede, a heart of vanilla, and then a base of amber. When I first saw this fragrance, just first impression, not even looking at the notes, I was kind of like writing it off in my head because yes, Tom Ford is kind of like, I mean, they're a household name in terms of fragrances. Everyone knows Tom Ford. But I don't know if I love their interpretation of leather, but then I'm looking at the notes and they're going for like that, I think they're going for like a more gourmand take on it, which is interesting. And this will be a unisex fragrance. So I want to try this one out. It's supposed to be a rich, decadent amber, cozy vanilla, and opulent leather with invigorating spices. Again, the marketing copy on these fragrances, oh boy, this is quite intense. So yeah, again, I'm curious to see what direction they'll go with this. It's a more gourmand interpretation of a leather fragrance, so my curiosity is piqued. But yeah, I don't really, do I have any Tom Ford flankers or decants? No, I don't own any Tom Ford bottles, but I think I do have a few fragrances of theirs decanted. I don't know, Tom Ford is not my favorite designer brand, but they are pretty big in the space, so I'll definitely be trying this one out, and I'll let you know what I think. We have a new fragrance by Marissa Zappas. She recently redid the packaging or the bottle design on her fragrances, so now her fragrances look like this, but this is also a new fragrance release as well. So Dream Sequence has notes of petitgrain, bergamot, ambrette, vanilla, neroli, lilac, tonka musk, and earthy notes. Not gonna lie, I love Marissa Zappas. I think that her fragrances are amazing, and I think she's very inventive, but the fact that this is going to be a bit of an earthier fragrance gives me pause because I'm usually not someone who likes earthy perfumes. I think this will be a very unique scent, so I'm definitely interested in sampling it, but I don't know if I'd go out of my way to try this out because earthy fragrances are usually not my cup of tea. This is going to also be a citrus floral musky perfume. Again, bottle design on here, I absolutely love. I love the new bottles, but I don't necessarily know if I'll go for this fragrance with the scent profile. We have 4 new fragrances by Vivamor. Vivamor is a sister brand to Navitus. So if you're familiar with Navitus, Vivamor is pretty much like their partner brand. So they have a few really good fragrances. They do gourmands rather well. Okay, so I'm looking at these fragrances. They have 4 fragrances. So they have Midnight Mango, Tango Mango, Tea, Temptation, and then Magic Hour. These are supposed to be bright, summery inspired scents. I am quite curious about these. Vivamor tends to do gourmands rather well. I have their discovery set, and I not recently, but a while back I did a video on it, and I was very impressed by how photorealistic their gourmands were. It did not smell perfumey, it smelled very, their fragrances had a lot of depth to them, and considering the price, I mean, I think that they're pretty affordable and they're really good options if you are someone who loves gourmands. I haven't tried these out personally, but I feel like I do want to try them out. I am curious about them. So let's cycle through the fragrances and their individual notes. So first we have Midnight Mischief. This perfume has notes of orange blossom and jasmine at the top, a heart of Madagascar vanilla and rose, and then a base of sandalwood, osmanthus, and amber. Osmanthus tends to add like a very kind of like a peach-like quality, a peach-like floral quality to perfumes. So this will be interesting. And they also have that vanilla. So I feel like if you're a fan of Libre, not that this is like the same fragrance at all, but I feel like if you like that really cloud-like orange blossom, this one might be one to try. This is not the one that's standing out to me. I will get to that one in just a moment. But next up, let's talk about Magic Hour. So Magic Hour is a fragrance with notes of pina colada accord, exotic fruits, and fresh ginger, a heart of Sri Lankan cinnamon, Guatemalan cardamom, and rum, and then a base of amber and crystal moss. So when it comes to this perfume, I actually have like a little bit of I have a few thoughts. So first off, I really love cocktail inspired scents. I tend to really be drawn to those. I love how they can be quite refreshing, especially for the summertime if you're trying to choose a fragrance for the heat. However, cinnamon is something for me that I'm like sometimes hesitant to incorporate into my fragrances because sometimes cinnamon can be done very well in a very smooth and elegant way. Sometimes it can pull a little bit scratchy to my nose personally. So I feel like I wouldn't necessarily go for this fragrance, but I am interested in it, especially because of that pina colada accord. Next up is Tea Temptation. This is a perfume with top notes of Calabrian bergamot and violet leaf absolute, a heart note of Earl Grey tea and Guatemalan cardamom, and then a base of white musk, mandarin blossom, ambrette seeds, and Haitian vetiver. Now this is one I actually am very interested in because of that tea note. Recently I've really been loving tea fragrances, so I feel like this would be very fun to try. Cardamom also tends to be a really fun fragrance note as well, and I really do like this. I feel like it'll be a fun aromatic scent, especially with that tea and the vetiver. So this, I would say, is the most unisex option so far that we've gone through. Next up is Tago Mango. This one is the one I'm actually the most interested in. This is a mango fragrance with top notes of coconut water, passion fruit, mango, and star fruit, a heart of hazelnuts and dried fruits, and then a base of Tahitian vanilla, amberwood, and toffee. So we have toffee, we have the mango. I feel like this will be a bit of a more unique take on mango. I don't think I've ever seen mango paired with toffee, but if you just think about mango and how it can be like very rich and sweet, I feel like toffee would be a very interesting combination to add into that fragrance profile. So this is definitely one that I'm very interested in, especially I love coconut fragrances. I mean, I know that like that sounds so boring, like yeah, who doesn't love a coconut perfume? But I feel like coconut right now, especially in the summer heat, is like the perfect thing. And I also think that this is kind of like a more rich and decadent gourmand, but the coconut might make it a little bit less decadent. So it might make it a little bit more versatile. So this is one I'm very much interested in. I don't know if I'll buy it. We'll see. But if I had to choose between all the fragrances in this new release from Vivamor, Tago Mango is most certainly my favorite. It does seem like it would be a very interesting fragrance, and it is a little bit more unique. But yeah, Vivamor in general, their gourmands are top notch. They have some really, really good ones. Okay, so next up is a new release by Lattafa. This is called Serre, and just in terms of bottle design alone, I think this is one of the most unique fragrances that we've seen in this video so far. This is a very standout bottle, if I do say so myself. It's faceted glass, it looks like. Yes, it's definitely a bottle with a bit of a statement. Is that a snake? So this will be a perfume with almond and cinnamon at the top, a mid of pomerose and akigala wood and jasmine, and then a base of vanilla absolute, tonka bean, and amber. So this is going to be a predominantly almond fragrance with a floral and vanilla accent. It's interesting because looking at this fragrance, you would I would guess that this is more of like an intense perfume, like this is more of like a maybe animalic fragrance, but it looks like they're going for like that different scent profile, even though I feel like it doesn't necessarily fit the bottle, because I look at the bottle and I'm like thinking it's going to be animalic, but then I'm looking at the notes and I'm like, okay, it's going to be a softer fragrance. So I'm curious about this one. Reviewing Lattafa fragrances, honestly, on this channel, I try to review different kinds of fragrances, but my Lattafa fragrance videos are some of my most popular, and part of me is kind of like, I have a lot of Lattafa fragrances. I buy a lot, I review a lot, but part of me is kind of thinking, should I slow down? Because it is a lot. But I'm curious to know from you, is there anything that you want me to review from Lattafa specifically? Are there any other Middle Eastern fragrance brands that you want me to try? Because I don't want to just talk about Lattafa when it comes to Middle Eastern perfumery, because like there are so many other options, but I also don't want to be too redundant. I don't know. I'll probably get this one and I'll probably review it. I'm curious about it. I really also do have my eye on Eclair. Eclair seems like such a wonderful fragrance. It sounds absolutely delicious, very beautiful, totally up my alley. And this one also seems interesting as well. So yeah, this is a new release. I'll probably buy it, even though right now I'm trying to dial back. I'm trying to save a little bit of money. I'm trying to be a little bit less hoardery when it comes to perfumes, because I have a lot of fragrances right now and I'm trying to actually use them. So that's pretty much it, I would say. Those are all the fragrances I want to cover today. As usual, there was a lot of diversity here, but if you want to catch up on the other new fragrance releases videos, definitely check the description box below, because I've linked a playlist with all these fragrance news videos for you to catch up on if you are so inclined, and you can also find that playlist on my channel. But thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I'll see you next time. Bye!